Good evening. It's 8 o'clock. The top headlines tonight. Prime Minister Modi, President Biden's online meet tonight at 8:30 p.m. Indian time. A crucial virtual meet in context of the Russia-Ukraine war. India's stand remains firmly neutral despite US threats. Biden advisor visiting India last week said Russia won't help India with China, so India should reconsider its stand. Shahbaz Sharif, brother of three-time Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, is the new Pakistan Prime Minister. Imran Khan quits Pakistan's National Assembly along with his party MPs just before that. Shahbaz Sharif's first statements about India saying he'll raise Kashmir at every international platform and that when the Sharifs were in government, India ke dant khatte kar diye, meaning he'd shown India its place. From bulldozer Baba in UP to bulldozer Mama Shivraj Singh Chauhan in Madhya Pradesh, is this a bulldozing of justice as the property razed of accused just a day after Ram Navami violence? Meanwhile, the shocking communal violence in at least 4 states on the holy festival of Ram Navami. Trapped in mid-air, the Jharkhand cable car nightmare. 3 have been killed in the Jharkhand cable car accident, and 24 hours later, 10 people are still trapped mid-air. Air Force rescue operations today are on, but people still stuck. A 14-year-old girl raped and murdered. The main accused is a local Trinamool leader's son who's been arrested. The Chief Minister, Mamata says, was it rape, pregnancy, love affair? But remember, the main accused is in his 20s. So what love affair is it with a 14-year-old girl? She's attacked for that insensitive remark. The family alleges the body of this young girl was cremated without their permission. The Telangana Chief Minister leads paddy procurement protest for Telangana farmers in Delhi. He gives a 24-hour deadline for the centre to procure all the state's farmers' paddy. But the centre says paddy procurement in the last 5 to 6 years has increased rapidly. And Jab they met, the Alia Ranbir Shadi this week. Well, our lead story tonight, in a short while from now, the Modi-Biden virtual meeting. Nidhi, why exactly is it so important? We know that US President Joe Biden has already tweeted on it.
Well, that's right. Joe Biden has said he's looking forward to his conversation with Prime Minister Modi, but it comes at a time when there are very visible strains in the India-US relationship over India's position on Russia and India's decision to go ahead and purchase Russian oil. It was very evident, Sonia, that was the case when President Biden publicly said a couple of weeks ago that India's position on Russia has been shaky, even though it's a part of the Quad alliance of which the US is a part of, along with Japan and Australia and India. So it will be interesting to see what the two leaders do speak about when they come face to face today. But an indication already of how divergent the views on the meeting itself are, because the White House put out a press note yesterday late night that they're going to be talking about Russia's brutal war in Ukraine, which was the language they used, apart from, of course, other bilateral issues and the Indo-Pacific and so on. Whereas the Indian statement makes no mention of Russia or the Ukraine war at all. Instead, in fact, it talks about recent developments in South Asia, which was a rather interesting comment to make. So perhaps both countries will still not see entirely eye to eye, though, of course, India has shown a nuanced shift in its position on Russia, the latest being abstaining when it came to the vote on Russia, throwing it out of the UN Human Rights Council. And in that, of course, Sonia, an abstention actually amounted to voting against Russia. It worked not in Russia's favor, but against it. So there has been some shift in India's position, but we'll have to see how the US looks at it at the moment.
No, and of course, the fact that both our Foreign Minister and Defence Minister are in the United States for the 2+2 dialogue, and also the point that this coming in the backdrop of Dileep Singh, the US Deputy NSA, who made those statements saying that Russia won't come to India's help against China on the LAC situation. So in that sense, India keeping its stand very firm and is likely to perhaps, at least off the record, not approve of those comments at all.
Well, certainly, because those were uncharacteristically undiplomatic comments by the US's Deputy National Security Advisor. In fact, soon after he left, Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister, was very blunt in her comments. And she said, well, if it's in my national interest to purchase oil from Russia, that is what I'm going to do and that is what I will do. So, in fact, India's oil purchases from Russia, even though they only constitute about 2% of our needs, have actually gone up substantially since February. In fact, according to Reuters, the data they've put together, what India has purchased from Russia since February is what we have purchased throughout 2021. So that's how much oil we've already been buying from them, which has irked the United States, and it has been very public on that. So India does find itself diplomatically in a bit of a difficult position because, Sonia, we must remember we have our problems with China at the border, and in that the US is a very important ally. And there is also a growing Russia-US-China nexus, Russia-China nexus. So, India has to watch out for its own interests, and what happens today will be important.
Yes, and moving to the other big headline, and this really is about the shameful violence yesterday on the holy festival of Ram Navami. There were clashes in at least 4 states. In Gujarat, where shops were torched by rioters. Again, in Anand, a man was killed, his body found after the violence. In Madhya Pradesh as well, violence after an altercation over music and slogans. Ram Navami this time during the holy month of Ramzan as well. And in Howrah, West Bengal as well, stone pelting after slogans. The BJP says that the police beat up participants of the procession. So these clashes in at least 4 different states on Ram Navami actually completely undermining the whole idea and teachings of Lord Ram. But let's just look at what happened today. Bulldozers. Now, in Madhya Pradesh, we're taking a leaf from Yogi Adityanath, the UP Chief Minister's playbook. The police have brought out bulldozers to raise the property of accused of stone pelting. But here's the big question: how can you raise property of somebody who a court has not found guilty? And how within 24 hours can you decide if a person is accused and raise their property without giving them any chance to defend themselves? Is this bulldozer justice a dangerous precedent and completely illegal that is being said?
Bulldozers demolishing the property of alleged rioters after clashes during a Ram Navami procession just a day ago. Police sources say the violence allegedly started over an altercation over music on loudspeakers and religious slogans in minority-dominated areas, leading to a response to the provocation. Over 80 people have been arrested and their properties are being targeted.
दंगाइयों के खिलाफ हमारी जीरो टॉलरेंस की पॉलिसी है और जो भी आदमी हमें इसमें इन्वॉल्व मिलेगा उन सब के खिलाफ हमारी कार्रवाई होगी और अभी कुछ कार्रवाई आप देख रहे हैं कि वो कार्रवाई शुरू भी हो गई है.
The Chief Minister says a new law, MP Prevention and Recovery of Damage to Public and Private Property Act 2021, allows them to do so.
दंगाई छोड़े नहीं जाएंगे, कठोरतम कार्रवाई की जाएगी, उनको दंडित तो किया ही जाएगा. मध्य प्रदेश पे हमने लोक एवं निजी संपत्ति को नुकसान का निवारण और नुकसानी की वसूली अधिनियम पारित किया है. क्लेम ट्रिब्यूनल का हम गठन कर रहे हैं.
The political significance of the bulldozers is perhaps clear. In neighbouring UP, the bulldozer and targeting the properties of accused is from Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's playbook. The recent BJP election campaign hailed him as Bulldozer Baba. Madhya Pradesh goes to polls next year. But there's been violence as well as tension in other places. A flag march in Himmatnagar in Sabarkantha district of Gujarat after violence during a Ram Navami procession on Sunday. The violence between members of 2 communities saw shops being torched by the rioters. The violence started over altercation between the 2 groups over slogans. Now the situation is calm, police say.
हाल की स्थिति में अभी जो है वो स्थिति जो है वो शांति में है और जो है हम लोग बाकी जो बंदोबस्त का चीज है उस पर ध्यान रख रहे हैं.
In Khambhat in Anand district, a man's body was found after the violence on Sunday. Extra security has been deployed to maintain peace. This incident too started with stone pelting after an altercation in an area with a significant minority population following alleged objectionable sloganeering. Minister of State for Home Harsh Sanghvi held a meeting with police officials and asked them to take stern action against those who are disrupting peace. In West Bengal, violence reported from Howrah and Bankura. In Howrah, sources say provocative sloganeering by participants in a procession led to altercation, resulting in stone pelting. The police say force was used to maintain peace and law and order.
কমিটি के সঙ্গে নিয়ে যে রুটটা ছিল সেটা ছিল মাচানতলার এই এসবিআই থেকে রাইট টার্ন নেবে এবং এই রাস্তা দিয়ে ওরা যাবে না, কিন্তু ওরা সার্টেন ফ্যাকশন অফ ওই মধ্যে কিছু আনআইডেন্টিফাইড ইয়াং ছেলেরা ছিল যারা হঠাৎ করে অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট হয় এবং ওখান থেকে তারা কর্মকর্তাদের মধ্য থেকে তারা পুলিশকে ঢিল ছুটতে শুরু করে.
The BJP, however, alleges in Howrah, the police beat up participants of the Ram Navami procession. The police have warned people against sharing fake news about the incident. But in sharp contrast, these images from Siliguri show a group of Muslim men offering water to participants of a Ram Navami procession, an example of tolerance and communal harmony. In parts of Madhya Pradesh's Khargone, a curfew after violence and rioting during a Ram Navami procession. Extra security has been deployed to prevent the situation from escalating. Stone pelting and arson on Ram Navami processions have also been reported from Jharkhand's Lohardaga. There's heavy police there to maintain peace. On Sunday, reports of tension from Muzaffarpur in Bihar when some people from a procession put saffron flags on a masjid. An NDTV bureau report.
Shocking to see some of those visuals of communal violence on a festival which is meant to celebrate peace and really the ideals of governance of Lord Ram. Meanwhile, moving to shocking news from Jharkhand, where at least 10 people are still trapped for the last 24 hours in Jharkhand cable cars. The Air Force was called in today for operations. 3 people died. We warn you that some of these visuals are disturbing in this. It really is shocking. What are the standards of safety where at least 10 people still trapped for 24 hours and 3 people dead in these cable cars?
Dramatic visuals of a very tough rescue operation led by Indian Air Force choppers in Jharkhand's Devghar. After tourists taking a joyride on India's highest vertical ropeway were stranded in cable cars for over 20 hours after the cars collided with each other on Sunday afternoon. 11 people were rescued like this by Sunday evening and many more brought to safety earlier today.
ऐसा लग रहा था जब हम बच नहीं पाएंगे, लेकिन अभी जो जैसे लग रहा है जो पूरा नया जन्म हुआ है मेरा, रस्सी बांध करके और एक कुर्सी लगा करके उसमें बैठा करके धीरे धीरे खींच करके निकाला। 3 बजे जो हम वहाँ घुसे तभी से जो पानी नहीं पीना बंद हो गया, मेरा पानी भी नहीं पहुँचा रात में।
But what led to such a major accident? The local BJP MP claimed negligence.
ये मुख्य कारण है जिसका मेंटेनेंस जो है, लापरवाही जो सबसे बड़ी है। आपको आश्चर्य होगा कि एक केबिन में जो है 7 लोग, नियम यह है कि 4 आदमी से ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए।
पूरा रूट कॉज एनालिसिस इवैक्यूएशन होने के बाद ही यहाँ के टेक्निकल और सारे बिंदुओं को जांच किया जाएगा।
दिस रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन वाज क्वाइट टफ, बट थैंक्स टू द कोऑर्डिनेशन बिटवीन इंडियन एयर फोर्स, NDRF, आर्मी जवान्स एंड द डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, people are being rescued one after another. Of course, the local villagers and the other, officials and the technical staff, they also played a very key role in one of the most toughest rescue operation in the recent past.
With Manish Kumar, Haribansh Sharma and Neeta Sharma, Bureau Report, NDTV.
We hope the people who are still trapped are rescued safely. And of course, condolences for those who died in that shocking accident. Safety standards must be reviewed. Meanwhile, moving across to West Bengal, where really the tragedy of a 14-year-old girl's rape and murder has now become political. Saurabh Gupta is joining me for more, because first let's just look at what the Chief Minister said on this. Now remember, the main accused in this is a man in his 20s. This girl is just 14. He is a local TMC leader's son, a TMC Panchayat leader's son who has been arrested. But Mamata Banerjee said that is this rape or is this pregnancy or a love affair? The fact is the girl is 14. The BJP has raised this as a major political issue.
একটাও ঘটনা ঘটেছে আমাদের এখানে কত উৎসব পালিত হয় কোনো ঘটনা ঘটে না কিন্তু অনেক ঘটনার মধ্যে একটা ছোট্ট ঘটনা ঘটে গেলেই যেটা আমরা পছন্দ করি না তা সত্ত্বেও হয়ে যায় নিজেদের মধ্যে সেইটা নিয়ে সারাক্ষণ এই করে বেড়াচ্ছেন পুলিশ এখনো জানতে পারেনি আমি জিজ্ঞেস করলাম এই যে তোমরা দেখাচ্ছ বারবার একটা বাচ্চা মেয়ে মারা গেছে নাকি রেপ হয়ে আপনি রেপ বলবেন না প্রেগন্যান্ট বলবেন না লাভ অ্যাফেয়ার্স বলবেন এটা এনকোয়ারি করেছেন কি আমি পুলিশকে জিজ্ঞেস করলাম ঘটনাটা খারাপ অ্যারেস্ট হয়ে গেছে কিন্তু ছেলেটির সাথে মেয়েটির নাকি লাভ অ্যাফেয়ার ছিল আমি শুনেছি। ইজ ইট এ ফ্যাক্ট? ডিজি সাহেব এখানে আছেন।
এরকম প্রশ্ন তুলে
যারা এই মুখ্যমন্ত্রীকে আনার জন্য ভোট দিয়েছেন তারা একটু বিচার করুন। যারা তথাকথিত বাঙালি বাংলা, তারা বিচার করুন কাকে বসিয়েছেন, মুখের ভাষা কি। এই জন্য তো আমি বলেছিলাম যেদিন আমাদের বিধায়কদের বলেছিল ল্যাংচা খেয়ে ল্যাংচাতে গেছে, আমি এই মুখ্যমন্ত্রীর আগে ভালো কোম্পানির ফিনাইলের ব্লিচিং দিয়ে মুখটা পরিষ্কার করা উচিত। ওর পরিবার যদি চায় সিবিআই তদন্ত, আমার মনে হয় চাওয়া উচিত, তাহলে কমপ্লিটলি আমরা তাকে সাপোর্ট দেব, সাহায্য দেব সমস্ত।
Sort of, I mean, disturbing remarks there, because the fact is, even if they were in relation, the point is this girl was just 14 and many serious issues being raised by the family, saying that they weren't told before the cremation of this young girl, just 14. Also that the FIR was only filed after 4 days. What's the latest information you have?
Well, you know, it seems that the Chief Minister's critique of the reportage of the case went a step further. Now, while all of what she said is a matter of investigation, and perhaps some of it may turn out to be true in the investigation, the fact is here is a minor, and even if this was some sort of a relationship that she is referring to, the fact is that it still remains a rape case because it involves a minor, and that's where the law draws the line. Now, as far as whatever else she said, that why this whole case, why didn't they complain earlier? Well, those are again things that the police need to inquire into. But what happens is when the head of a state, when the executive of a state is talking about an ongoing investigation, it will always be seen as directions to the investigating agency which reports to her. So in all likelihood, well, she could have well critiqued the media of its coverage and whatever she had to say, but in this case, her comments about this case is something that definitely has gone beyond what she should be saying as Chief Minister, is what several legal experts feel. Even if there is truth in her statement, it's still not what she should be saying as Chief Minister of the state. And the fact is, there's no question of it.
No, and whatever the truth may be in this case, the fact is this girl is 14. So it's not a question of a consensual love affair. It's illegal under the eyes of the law. But let's just see if that family gets justice. So what happens next? We'll be tracking that investigation. But moving now to what's happening in Delhi. Well, the Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao and his entire cabinet were here, setting up a fresh confrontation with the Prime Minister, making the point that the centre had gone back on its promise to acquire paddy from the state's farmers. He was here in Delhi with farmers, saying that there should be 100% procurement from all farmers, and he set a 24-hour deadline for the Modi government.
भारत के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को मैं चेतावनी देना चाहता हूं कि आप चाहे किसी से भी खिलवाड़ कर सकते हो, लेकिन किसानों से नहीं। भारत का इतिहास बताता है, जहां भी कष्ट पाकर किसानों के आंखों से पानी निकले, वहां की सरकार जरूर सत्ता से बाहर निकले।
This is the BJP held its own counter-protest in Hyderabad, saying in fact it was a KCR government which had failed in paddy procurement and is now passing this on to the centre. But of course, behind all this is the politics of the TRS and the BJP fighting furiously with the BJP's growth in the state as well. Well, in other news, the world's richest man, Elon Musk, has refused a Twitter board seat. That was tweeted by the CEO of Twitter, Parag Agrawal, who probably heaved a sigh of relief. But the fact that Musk is not on the board means that he can't censor his critical tweets, which are going on while he's Twitter's biggest shareholder.
What is up with Elon Musk and Twitter? All the major updates in just a minute. First, who is Elon Musk? World's wealthiest person, CEO of Tesla, which is an electric vehicle company, and he recently bought 9.2% stake in Twitter, where he has over 80 million followers. So this made him the largest shareholder in the company. But in recent news, Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal announced that Elon has decided not to join the executive board of the company. Parag's letter states that he would have been appointed contingent on background check. Many question if that was the deal breaker. Elon's first reaction was this. This tweet was deleted, and anyway, within a few days of buying the stake, Elon had sought feedback on several things. He shared a poll asking if there should be an edit button for tweets, if W should be deleted from Twitter. He has put conflicting and controversial views in the past, which has put him in trouble. So these tweets also need to be read with a pinch of salt. That's all for this video. Arun Singh for NDTV.